Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sid Alpha, and welcome to this week's Line of Sight, the weekly news series that is just the news. Lately, the Exclusively Games viewers have been beyond amazing in your feedback and support, and I hope everyone can continue with that by making sure the YouTube algorithm beast gets fed properly with your likes, comments, and of course shares on Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications on when new videos go live, and don't forget to check out the website over at exclusivelygames.com. There are a ton of articles over there that are most definitely worth your time. That said, let's jump into what we're all here for. On the list for this week, we have the announcement surrounding Google Stadia, the resurrection of Lucasfilm Games, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and our main story for the week will be the Epic Games Store, PC distribution exclusives, and Epic Games at the GDC 2019. Now that we're all queued up, let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, cloud gaming is an industry plan that many companies have begun working their way into over the course of the past couple of years, with Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, smaller third parties like Liquid Sky, and many others. The concept of cloud gaming can be enticing for some gamers, off-putting to others, and ultimately a potential source of extreme profit for larger corporations, and Google is no different in these aspects. During GDC 2019, Google unveiled Stadia, their new cloud gaming platform that allows a gamer to stream whatever game they choose to play to any device, even mobile. Google claims Stadia will be capable of streaming video games in 4K at 60 frames per second. And not a lot is known about Stadia yet, but it is stated as having integrations with YouTube that will allow a person to go from watching a video about a particular video game to be able to play the game being watched within a matter of seconds, and that it sports no updates and no downloads. One major concern surrounding Stadia and other cloud gaming platforms in general is, of course, latency, especially when it comes to reaction-intensive video games like the exceptionally popular Battle Royale genre or the more traditional first or third-person action-adventure games like Call of Duty and Battlefield. Ars Technica provided an article discussing exactly that and interviews Google's Phil Harrison. In that interview, Harrison discusses Google's, quote, secret sauce that helps alleviate the latency issue, such as potentially going so far as to recommend Google's own Wi-Fi mesh network hardware and Wi-Fi connected controllers as opposed to directly connected controllers or Bluetooth connected devices. The reason for this, as Harris explained, was due to making certain to reduce the number of hops the signal has to make, each hop, of course, increasing the latency involved. Harrison also stated, quote, I fully respect that there is a top of that pyramid who are typically players wearing logo t-shirts and a comfy game chair, and they're investing in lowest possible latency mouse pads. Maybe we're not going to reach those players day one, but I think that aspirational pyramid beneath the pinnacle pro players is absolutely for Stadia. Whether Google has the latency issue licked or not will remain to be seen, but it would seem that Google is going to be going hard on Stadia. Next up, we have the claimed resurrection of Lucasfilm Games. Lucasfilm Games. Now, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. Lucasfilm Games, or its more popular name, Lucasarts, was a developer and publisher for a huge amount of video games. Founded in 1982, Lucasarts officially ceased operations on April 3, 2013, and were responsible for either developing or publishing some iconic, that's real iconic, not Ubisoft iconic, game titles over the years that include Grim Fandango, The Secret of Monkey Island, and a staggering number of Star Wars video games. On the Disney Careers website, they currently list 85 Lucasfilm Games jobs, including producers, art coordinators, marketing coordinators, software engineers, and many, many others. On one Twitter post made by Ashley Day, a community manager for Team 17, it was also shown to have a job listing for a lead game designer as well, indicating that Lucasfilm Games may be revitalizing both its publishing arm and developing branch at the same time. Many had believed, as they had ceased operation, that Lucasfilm Games simply did not exist. However, Amy Rochelle, apologies if I pronounced the name wrong, posted on Twitter that in spite of this belief, there have been people that work there, including herself, for a very long time. Now, many have speculated that this may be in response to the lack of Star Wars games coming out of Electronic Arts or even the quality of the games so far. Now, whether or not any of that is true, we may never know, but one thing that can be a takeaway from all of this is that it is extremely likely that the once moribund LucasArts will have some new life breathed back into it, although what Disney intends to do with it will remain to be seen. Now, our next story is a brief one, as not a lot of information is known at this point in time. It was announced recently that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines would be seeing a sequel after 15 years. The original Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is an action RPG set in Los Angeles within the Vampire the Masquerade world by the White Wolf pen and paper RPG. The new Bloodlines video game takes place in modern-day Seattle. The story itself is written by Brian Misota, the man responsible for the story within the first Bloodlines video game, and surrounds the concept of an inexplicable mass embrace. Now, on the game's website, you can gather that instead of being a vampire that is hundreds of years old, you take on the role of one of those that were thrust into the masquerade after the mass embrace. The game is slated for a March 2020 release and is available for pre-order on Xbox One, PS4, and on PC. It will be available through Steam, GOG, Paradox, and the Epic Storefront. And now we have our main story for the week, which surrounds the Epic Games storefront. Now, recently, Epic Games has been making huge waves in the PC market due to their paid distribution exclusivity on that platform. This has caused a large number of gamers to be disenfranchised with the storefront due to the inherently anti-consumer nature of paid distribution exclusivity, ongoing privacy concerns, some of which were discussed in last week's line of sight video, and the general lack of core features that will slowly trickle into the Epic Store over the course of the next year or more. Some of those core features that seem to be primary points of contention are the user reviews that are slated for 4 to 6 months down the line, and even when they are implemented will be opt-in on the part of the developer, regional pricing, which was recently implemented, video hosting, which Epic's roadmap states will be coming within the next 1 to 3 months, cloud saves, mod support, automated refunds, and several others. In spite of the Epic Store being in an incomplete state, Epic Games has pushed ahead, landing a multitude of one-year timed distribution exclusives on PC. One of the more notable ones was Metro Exodus, that, as a result of signing their distribution exclusivity contract a mere 1 month before the game's release, caused a large amount of stir. It's also been reported that Deep Silver, the publishers of 4A Games' Metro series, stated during their keynote presentation at GDC 2019 that Metro Exodus has performed significantly better in terms of sales on the Epic storefront than Metro Last Light did on Steam for a similar period of time. Of course, there are some caveats involved with that assertion. In 2013, the year that Metro Last Light was released, Steam celebrated having 65 million active users, where earlier this week it was announced that just a few days ago, the Epic storefront has surpassed 85 million users. In addition to Metro Exodus, the game Hades, from the developers of Bastion, Pyre, and Transistor, is an early access title exclusive to the Epic storefront. Joining them is also Tom Clancy's The Division 2, which also accepted a contract for a 1-year distribution exclusive on PC. The Cycle, from the developers of Spec Ops, The Line, and Dreadnought, has also accepted a contract for Epic Store exclusivity. Remedy, the developers of Quantum Break and the Max Payne series, has also announced that their upcoming title will also be an Epic Store exclusive. Another game to join the Epic Store contract party is After Party, the game being developed by Night School Studios. And Night School Studios are also the studio responsible for Oxenfree, a title that was actually made free on the Epic storefront until April 4th. The list also doesn't end there. Phoenix Point, the intended spiritual successor to the original XCOM series that sports some of the XCOM's original developers, has also stated that their game would be an Epic Store exclusive. Obsidian Entertainment, the original developers of the Fallout video games, have announced that The Outer Worlds would be a 1-year timed exclusive in the Epic storefront and that the game would still release as normal on Xbox and PS4. The list continues as more and more games were announced at the GDC as Epic Store exclusives, such as The Sinking City by Big Ben Interactive, which now shows an available 2020 tag on its Steam storefront page. However, it would seem that nerves may be getting a little bit frayed over at Epic Games as gamer frustration over the distribution exclusives continues to mount, making an already visible PR issue even worse. During a public Q&A at the GDC, one attendee voiced similar claims that have been seen on various social media sites for an extremely long period of time, saying, "I'm wondering if it was Tencent's idea to abandon Unreal Tournament's community." Stephen Allison, the Epic Store lead, responded with, "Tencent has zero input into our business. They do not talk to us about what we are doing. They don't suggest what we should be doing. They don't make any decisions for us. They're not in our building. Everything we do is with our team, and the final point of conversation when it goes up to the top is Tim. And Tim does not take any orders from Tencent, believe me." Obviously, there was a significant investment that Tencent made in the company a few years ago, and we like them as a company, and they're a partner of ours, but they're not running our business. They're not in the building. We don't share anything with them. In fact, we compete with them. They run PUBG. We compete with them. To that, the attendee asked, so Tencent has nothing to do with the Epic Store, and Allison responded by stating, zero. The Chinese corporation Tencent, for those of you that are not aware, holds a 40% stock ownership in Epic Games, as well as owning PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and also a 5% interest in Ubisoft Entertainment. That said, it was also announced during the GDC that Epic Games won't be pushing for distribution exclusives forever. A PC Gamer reported Steve Allison as confirming this, and that Epic's standing on this is due in part to the pricing model currently seen by developers, where Steam and other distribution platforms offer a 70-30 split. The PC Gamer article claims, Galyankin said that Steam's model was a great thing for the industry back when the only other option was retail, where developers earned far less than 70% of their game's total revenue. But as server and payment processing costs have gone down, Allison says that a 12% cut makes sense at Epic's scale. And that's all we have for you on this week's Line of Sight. Thank you so much for everyone for watching. I do really appreciate it. If you liked this video, don't forget to let us know down in the comments below. And if you would like to hear more from me, you can do so by checking me out on my YouTube channel over at youtube.com/SidAlpha, where I do much more industry punditry and commentary surrounding topics such as those that were covered here today. And don't forget to subscribe to both channels and ring that bell for notifications when new videos go live. Well, thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope to see you on my channel for my regular videos, and of course back here next week for our next Line of Sight. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sid Alpha, and I'll see you next time.